Hi everyone. In this video, I will be designing this landing page using Bootstrap 5. So this is the finished demo that I have designed. So let's see what we have in this project. So at the top we have a navigation, and then we have this main section, or you can call it hero section, in which we have some text and call to action buttons. After that we have the about us section, in which we have an image on the left side and some information on the right side. Okay, so then we have the services section. So in the services section we have these different services. Okay, and also we have this hover effect. So when I hover mouse on these services, so you can see the effect. And after that we have this counter section, and after the counter section we have the portfolio section, in which we have these different projects. So if I click on this icon, the image appears like this, and I can change the image by clicking on these navigation links. Okay, or you can zoom in or zoom out, and also you can play this. Okay, so after some time this will change. Okay, as you saw. Okay, so I have used fancy box plugin for this. Okay, and after the portfolio section we have these different reviews section, these different reviews, and when I scroll down you can see it fed in from the top. Okay, so after that we have the team section, and we have this hover effect on the team member as well. And after that we have the contact us section. Okay, and after the contact us section we have the blog section, and we have the same effect right here as well. And after that we have this footer section. Okay, so this is responsive, so let me show you this on different viewport width. Okay, so now I am showing this on 1440. So as you can see, everything is looking great. And let me see this on tablet. So as you can see, on tablet it is looking fine as well. Okay, so let's see this on mobile 320. So as you can see, it is looking perfect on mobile as well. Okay guys, so let's dive into the video and design this theme from the beginning. So let's get started. So I'm gonna create a folder, and I'm gonna name this Elixir. Okay, and I'm gonna drag this folder into the VS Code. Okay, and here I'm gonna create a new folder. Inside this folder I'm going to create one for the JavaScript, one for the images, and one for CSS, and one for fonts. Oops, so I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to create for fonts. Okay, so I have copied the images from the finished project, and I'm going to paste the images here. Okay, and I'm going to create another file. This will be index.html. Okay, and inside this CSS I'm going to create a file for custom CSS. So this will be style.css, and This will be main.js. Okay, so I'm gonna visit to the Bootstrap website. Okay, and then I'm gonna click on the docs quick start, and I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it right here. So I'm gonna change this Elixir Bootstrap template, so this will be the title. Okay, and here I'm gonna copy this CSS, Bootstrap CSS. Okay, and I'm gonna paste it here, and I'm gonna copy this JavaScript. Okay, so that's it for the Bootstrap setup. Okay, and also I'm gonna link to the style.css file. Okay, and I'm gonna open this file. Okay, so then I'm gonna visit to font share website. So I have used the font from this website, so which is Clash Display. So click on the download and download family. So I already have downloaded, so I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna open that folder, click on the fonts web CSS, and I'm gonna copy this. And I'm gonna paste it inside the CSS. Okay, then I'm gonna copy the fonts and I'm gonna copy the variable. And inside the fonts folder, I'm gonna paste it. Okay, so I'm gonna open that file. Okay, so I'm gonna remove all these and I'm gonna leave the variable. Okay, I'm gonna save it. Okay, so you can rename this to, so I'm gonna rename this to Clash Display. Okay, and I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna go to the style.css file and I'm gonna import that file, CSS and clash display.css. And here I'm gonna create some custom variables. Okay, so the first one will be color dark. And its value is 212529, and one for brand color brand, and its value is 4E57. D4. Okay, so I'm gonna create another for color brand light. So I'm gonna copy this. So this will be the brand light. Okay, one for color brand RGB, and I'm gonna copy this. So I'm gonna use this RGB for the background overlay and stuff like that. So I'm gonna click the RGB and I'm gonna remove these. Okay, and let's create one for the body, color body, and its value is 727272. Okay, and let's create one for font, and it is clash display. If this is not available, then font family will be sans serif. Let's create one for the box shadow. Its value is going to be 0 pixel, 15 pixel, 25 pixel, and the color will be dark, 0 0.08. And let's create one for the transition. Zero 0.5 second is okay. I think that's it. So I'm going to reset some of properties. So I'm going to change the font family to font base. Let's give a line height 1.7 and change the color to color body. Okay, then I'm going to select the heading. I'm going to select heading 1 class, heading 2, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6. I'm going to give a font weight 600. Okay, I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to select the anchor tag. I'm going to remove the text decoration, and let's give a color, brand color, and also I'm going to give a transition, variable transition. Okay, and on hover, I'm going to change the color to color light, and yeah, that's it. And then I'm going to select the image. I'm going to give a maximum width 100%. Okay, and height auto. So that's it for the image, and let's create a class for the padding. So section padding, padding top 140 pixel, padding bottom 140 pixel, and yeah, that's it for now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna visit to the Bootstrap website, and I'm gonna scroll down, and then I'm gonna click on the navigation bar, and I'm gonna copy this navigation bar. I'm gonna create a comment, and I'm gonna paste the navigation bar right here. Okay, so I'm gonna save it, and let's see, refresh the page. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this float, refresh. So as you can see, we have some breathing room for the text, and let's push the navigation links to the right. So I'm gonna type margin start auto, save it, and I'm gonna remove this. Okay, so the first one will be home, and when a user click on this link, it will go to a section in which the ID of that section is home. Okay, so I'm gonna copy and paste. Okay, I'm gonna save it and let's refresh the page. Okay, looking great. So I'm gonna put an image right here, so the logo image. So I'm gonna remove that, logo dark, save it, and let's see, refresh the page. Great. Okay, and I'm gonna put a button. I'm gonna give a class button brand. Okay, and the text will be download. Save it and refresh. Okay, so let's design the navigation. So I'm gonna add a comment to these. Okay, and I'm gonna add a class bg white, so all the background will be white and sticky top. Okay, so I'm gonna select navbar nav. I'm gonna select the navigation link. Okay, I'm gonna give a font weight, let's say 500. Okay, and I'm gonna change the color to color dark. Okay, and the active link color will be the brand color, so I'm gonna copy that and I'm gonna type active color will be the brand color. Okay, that's it for the navigation. So I'm gonna select the button class. I'm gonna give a font weight 500 and let's change the font size to 14 pixel and text uppercase. Let's give a font weight 600. Okay, I'm gonna select button brand. I'm gonna change the background color to the brand color. Okay, and the text color will be white. I'm gonna save it and refresh. And I'm gonna remove the border radius to 0. And also I'm gonna give a padding. Padding will be 10 pixel and 24 pixel. Okay, and on hover. Background color will be slide color. And also I'm gonna change the border color to the brand color. Color lights, save it and let's see. And on hover I'm gonna change the text color to white. Okay, looking great. So I'm gonna give some space between the button and these nav links. So I'm gonna select the button and I'm gonna type margin start. On large devices I'm gonna give a 3 rem. Okay, looking great. And I'm gonna select the navigation bar. Here it is. I'm gonna give a box shadow. Save it and refresh. So we have this shadow. Okay, so let's design the hero section. Okay, so for that I'm gonna create a comment for the hero. I'm gonna create a section. I'm gonna give an ID hero. Okay, create a container. Inside this row, I'm gonna create another class, column 12. So it will gonna cover 12 column space, and I'm gonna type h1. I'm gonna type welcome. Okay, and ph5, and I'm gonna copy the text. Okay, and I'm gonna put buttons. So I'm gonna place a button. So the first button will be button brand, and the text will be get started. And I'm gonna copy this, I'm gonna paste it, and the second button will be button light, and the text will be let's say our portfolio. Save it and let me refresh. Okay, so I'm gonna select this, and let's change the text to uppercase. Okay, and I'm gonna give a font weight semi-bold. I'm gonna give another class. This will be display1. Save it. Okay, looking great. And I'm gonna select this hero. I'm gonna give a class minimum viewport height 100. Okay, and I'm gonna give a display flex, align item center. Save it. Okay, and text center. Okay, so I'm gonna select the hero. Okay, let me give a background linear gradient. So I'm gonna put a dark color for now, and I'm gonna put image. I'm gonna select the hero one image, and let's reduce the opacity. I'm gonna save it and refresh. So as you can see, it is looking like this. So I'm gonna add a property, background position center, background size cover. Save it and refresh. So I'm gonna change the text color to white. Text to white, and also I'm gonna do that for this text to white. Save it. Okay, and I'm gonna adjust the spacing. So from the margin top 3 rem, margin bottom 4 rem. Save it. Okay, great. And I'm gonna give some space from the margin start 2 rem, sorry, margin end, and this will be margin start 2 rem. So we have some space between the buttons. Okay, so let's change the overlay color. So I'm gonna select these. Okay, duplicate, Control D, and I'm gonna type variable, and the value is going to be color brand RGB. Save it and refresh. Okay, so we have this brand overlay on the image. Okay, great. Okay, so that's it for the hero section. So I'm going to create a comment for the about. I'm going to create a section. I'm going to give ID about, and I'm gonna give a section padding. Save it and let me refresh. Okay, so here I'm going to create a container and I'm going to put column LG6. Okay, so I'm going to put an image here in this column. About, save it and refresh. Okay, here I'm going to create a row. Okay, so I'm going to type column 12 and inside this column I'm going to create another class. This will be section title. I'm going to put h1 and I'm going to give a class display 4 and font width semi bold, and the text will be about us, and I'm going to put a div. I'm going to give a class line and I'm going to copy the text. Okay, and I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to save it and let me refresh the page. Okay, so let's design this and let's give this heading a color, dark color. Okay, great. So I'm going to select section title, section title. I'm going to give a margin bottom, say 40 pixel, and the text should be in the center. So I'm going to type text center. Okay, then I'm going to select section title. I'm going to select a line class. Let's give it a width 60 pixel, height 4 pixel, and background color brand color. Okay, and from the margin, so I'm going to select margin from the top 16 pixel, from the right auto, from the bottom 24 pixel, and from the left auto. Save it and refresh. Okay, then I'm going to select section title paragraph. I'm going to give a maximum width 500 pixel and margin left auto, margin right auto. Save it. Margin right auto. Okay, looking great. So I'm going to increase the space to something like 60 pixel. Okay, great. Okay, so here I'm going to create a column LG5. Okay, so I'm going to type H1 and the text will be about Elixir, and I'm going to put some lorem text. Save it and let me refresh the page. Okay, and here I'm going to create a div. Inside this div I'm going to create a class icon box. I'm going to put an icon here, so I'm going to visit to the remix icon website. Okay, and I'm going to click on the get started, and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to copy this link, and here I'm going to paste it. Okay, and that's it for the remix icons. So now I can use these icons. So I'm gonna copy this icon, copy it, and here I'm gonna paste it. Okay, save it. So let's design the icon box. Okay, so I'm gonna select the icon box. Okay, so I'm gonna give a width, say 60 pixel, height 60 pixel, display inline flex. Okay, and I want the icon to be in the center, so align item center, justify content center. Okay, and let me give a background color, background linear gradient. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this. So this background will be this color, and opacity is going to be 0.1, or let's say 2. I'm gonna refresh the page. Okay, so as you can see, we have this icon, and color will be the brand color. Let's increase the font size to 44 pixel, 34, and increase the width to 70 pixel. Okay, looking great. And this should be 0.1. Okay. So I'm going to select this div. Here I'm going to create another div. I'm going to put h5. And I'm going to put some lorem text, lorem 12. Save it, and I'm going to select that div. I'm going to give a class display flex. Okay, so this icon is squeezed like this. So I'm going to add a property flex to none. Save it. Okay, so I'm going to give some space. I'm going to select this icon box, margin and 3 rem or 4 rem. Okay, and let me reduce some text. I'm going to cut the text. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, I'm going to change the icon. Save it. Okay, so I'm going to adjust the spacing. So I'm going to select this paragraph. I'm going to type margin top 3 rem, margin bottom 4 rem. Then I'm going to select this. I'm going to type margin top 3 rem. Let's say 4. I'm going to give padding top. Okay, and I'm going to give margin bottom 3 rem. Select this, margin bottom 3 rem. Okay, and I'm going to select this row. I'm going to type justify content between. Save it and refresh. Okay, and I want the content to be in the center vertically, so I'm going to type align item center. Save it and refresh. So these are in the center now. Okay, great. So that's it for the about us, and let's design the services section. Okay, and I'm going to give an ID services, and I'm going to give a class section padding, save it and refresh. So I'm going to add another class. I'm going to type border top. Okay, so we have this border, and I'm going to copy this. Okay, here I'm going to create a container. I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to rename the text to save it and refresh. And I'm going to create another row for the services. So here I'm going to create a class column LG4 above and on LG. It will gonna cover 4 column space, and below LG it will gonna cover 6 column space, and below SM it will gonna cover 12 column space. And here I'm gonna create a service class. I'm gonna put icon box, and I'm gonna copy an icon. Okay, I'm gonna paste it right here. I'm gonna type H5, and the text will be UX design. Save it and let me refresh the page. Okay, so I'm going to create a helper class. So this will be theme shadow, box shadow, and the value will be the variable so that we have created. And I'm going to type theme shadow, and let me give a padding 5 rem on LG, and below LG it will be 4 rem. Save it. Okay, so as you can see we have this shadow, and text will be in this center, so text center. So I'm going to adjust the spacing a little bit. So I'm going to give a margin top 3, margin bottom 2 rem or 3. Okay, great. So on hover I'm going to create that effect, so like we have in the finished project. So here I'm going to create service comment. I'm going to select service. I'm going to give a position relative, and I'm going to hide the overflow. I'm going to give a z index 2. Then I'm going to select the service. After content will be nothing, and let me give a width 40 pixel and height 40 pixel, and let me give a background color, base color 0.2. okay, and I'm gonna give a position absolute from the bottom, it says 0, and from the right 0. save it and refresh. So we have this box here, and on hover I'm gonna increase the width for this. So I'm gonna give a transition. Okay, so when on service hover, I'm gonna select after. I'm gonna give a width 100% and height 100%. I'm gonna change the background color to the brand color, save it and refresh. So as you can see, and I'm gonna give a z index -1, save it and refresh. And on hover service hover, I'm gonna select h5 service. I'm gonna select paragraph. I'm gonna change the color to white, save it and refresh. Okay, and I'm gonna change the icon color. I'm gonna select the icon box. I'm gonna give a background color, so the color will be white. I'm gonna reduce the opacity to 0.1. Let's give it a 0.2 and change the text color to white. Icon box on hover. Okay, so this should be on hover. Okay, great. So I'm gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna change the icon. Save it. So I'm gonna give some space. So I'm gonna select this row. I'm gonna give a getter for rem, save it and refresh. So as you can see, we have some space now. So let's design the counter section. So I'm gonna create a section, and I'm gonna give a class section. I'm gonna create a container, and here I'm gonna create a column LG3 and column SM6, and I'm gonna give a getter space for rem. Okay, and I'm gonna type h1. I'm gonna type h6, and the text will be okay. So I'm gonna copy this. Okay, and I'm gonna set the text to center. I'm gonna save it. So I'm gonna open this file. Okay, and let's see. So this will be trusted clients. Themes designed. And I'm gonna type 55 plus. Save it and refresh. So I'm gonna select the h6. I'm gonna set the text uppercase, save it, and I'm gonna give a margin top, let's say 3 rem. Okay, and I'm gonna select the counter. And I'm gonna copy this from the hero. Set the opacity to 0.8. And the image will be counter. Save it and refresh. and let me change the, I'm going to select the h6, remove margin bottom to 0. Okay, and I'm going to change the text color to white. Select H1. Okay, and I'm going to give a display 4. All right, looking great. So that's it for the counter. So now I'm going to design the portfolio. I'm going to give a section padding, and I'm going to get the intro row. I'm going to paste it right here, and the text will be portfolio. Save it and refresh. Okay, so for this I have used fancy box. So I'm gonna type fancy box, and I'm gonna click on this link. I'm gonna click on the version 4, and I'm gonna click on the installation. I'm gonna copy this. Okay, and here I'm gonna paste it. Okay, save it, and I'm gonna copy this. So that is for the JavaScript, and this will be the CSS. Save it, and so now I'm gonna close this. Okay, so I'm gonna design the portfolio item. So I'm gonna create another row. I'm gonna create column MD4, and here I'm gonna create another class. So I'm gonna type portfolio item, and I'm gonna add another class to this. This will be image zoom. Okay, and I'm gonna type image zoom wrapper. Okay, and here I'm gonna put the image. This will be project 1, and here I'm gonna put an anchor tag, and I'm gonna put an icon box. Again, I'm gonna visit to the remix icon. Okay, and I'm gonna search for search, and I'm gonna copy this one, and I'm gonna paste it right here. So I'm gonna paste it directly inside here, and I'm gonna give it a class icon box. I'm gonna save this, and let me refresh the page. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll to the top here. I'm gonna create a comment. This will be image zoom. Image zoom, I'm gonna give a position relative. And I'm gonna set the overflow to hidden. Then I'm gonna select image zoom wrapper, and also I'm gonna set the overflow to hidden. All right, and I'm gonna give a position relative as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select image wrapper. I'm gonna select the image. So this should be wrapper. I'm gonna select the image. I'm gonna give a transition. Okay, so when hover on image zoom class, then I'm gonna select the image and I'm gonna set the transform and I'm gonna scale it 1.1, save it and refresh. It's not working. Okay, so it's working now, as you can see. I'm gonna create a comment. This will be portfolio. I'm gonna select portfolio item. Then I'm gonna select the icon box. I'm gonna change the background color to the brand color and set the text to white. And I'm gonna give position absolute from the top 50%, from the left side 50%. Okay, and let me set this to in the center. Translate -50% and -50%. So this is now exactly in the center. All right, so I'm gonna give an opacity 0 and from the top is going to be 40. So when hover on this portfolio item, I'm gonna select the icon box, set the opacity to 1 and from the top 50%. All right, so I'm gonna give this data fancy box. This will be gallery and it will go to images portfolio project 1. Save it. Okay, great. So I'm going to select this, duplicate project 2, save it. Okay, nice. And I'm going to give margin top 4. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this column. Okay, this will go to image 3 for this will go to 5 and 6. Save it and refresh. Okay, great. And also I'm gonna give a gutter space to for him. Save it. All right, so that's it for the portfolio. So next we have the testimonials. So I'm gonna design this. So I'm gonna copy this intro row. This will be reviews or testimonials. Section padding. Okay, and I'm going to rename this to testimonials. Okay, and I'm going to give this BG light. Okay, so here I'm going to create another row. Inside this row, I'm going to create column LG4, column SM6, and I'm going to give gutter space top and bottom 5 frame, and gutter will be for left and right. All right. So I'm going to type review. Here I'm going to create another class, review head, and I'm going to put the star. So I'm going to search for star and I'm going to copy this. All right, and then I'm going to put a paragraph. I'm going to copy the text. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to type review person. I'm going to put the image. Guitar1. Yes, I'm going to copy the name. I'm going to put inside a div h5. I'm going to put a small text tag, okay, and this person is UX architect. Save it and let me refresh the page. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give a padding for him. All right, and I'm gonna give BG white, and I'm gonna give theme shadow. All right, and I'm gonna select this div, and I'm gonna give text warning. Save it and refresh. I'm gonna select the review person class. I'm gonna give another class, display flex, align item center. Okay, and then I'm gonna select this. I'm gonna type margin start 3 rem. Okay, and I'm gonna select this review. I'm gonna type margin top 4 rem. All right. So then I'm gonna select this review head. I'm gonna give position relative, review head after. I'm gonna set the content to nothing, and I'm gonna give a width 28 pixel, height 28 pixel, position absolute from the bottom 0, and background color red. Okay, and okay, from the bottom I'm gonna give negative 14 pixel, and I'm gonna rotate this 45-degree, and I'm gonna give a background color white. All right, I'm gonna select the image, rounded circle class, save it. I'm gonna select review, then I'm gonna select the small tag. I'm gonna give font weight 600, text uppercase, and I'm gonna give a color brand color. Save it and refresh. So I'm gonna duplicate this. So I'm gonna change the image. Okay, so we have these reviews. So after the reviews, we have the team section. So I'm gonna copy this row. And I'm going to create a container. and I'm gonna paste that. So I'm gonna rename this to save it and refresh. And I'm gonna give a section padding class. All right. Okay, so here I'm gonna create another row, column MD4, team member, and I'm gonna add the image zoom class that we have created. Okay, and I'm gonna put the image. Okay, and here I'm gonna put another class. This will be team content. Okay, so I'm gonna put h4, margin bottom 0, and this person is UI flow artist. Save it, and I'm gonna refresh. Okay, so image, this is not working, so let me see. It is working. So I'm going to create a comment. This will be team. I'm going to select team member content. I'm going to give a background color brand. I'm going to give a position absolute. From the bottom 24 pixel, from the left side 50%. Okay, and this will be content, and I'm gonna give a width as well. So I'm gonna give width, calculate 100%, and I'm gonna subtract 50 pixel. All right, and I want this to be in the center horizontally. Translate x negative 50%. Save it and refresh. And let me give a padding as well. So again, I'm gonna change the text color. So I'm gonna select this text white. Okay, I want the text to be in the center. All right. So I'm gonna give a transition. Okay, and I'm gonna give opacity to 0. And from the bottom, I'm gonna give a negative 24. On our team member, then I'm gonna select team member content. I'm gonna give opacity 1, and from the bottom is going to be 24 pixel. Save it and refresh. Great. So I'm gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna give a gutter space for him. All right, so that's it for the team section. So I'm gonna design the contact us form. I'm gonna give a class section padding. I'm gonna give ID contact, and I'm gonna give a BG dark color for now. I'm gonna create a container. and I'm gonna copy the intro row. Save it and let me refresh the page. Okay, so I'm gonna change the text color to white. And I'm gonna change the background color to white for the line. Okay, and I'm gonna change the text. Okay, I'm gonna create another row. Inside this row, I'm gonna create column LG8. I'm gonna give justify content center. Inside this column LG, I'm gonna create a form, and I'm gonna give a class row form group class. Inside this form group, I'm gonna create an input, type text, and I'm gonna give a class form control, and placeholder is going to be enter first name. And I'm gonna give this a class column LG6. Save it, and I'm gonna duplicate this. Okay, let me refresh the page. All right, so this should be form control. Okay, and I'm gonna give gutter space 3 rem, and this will be email. This will be last name, and this will gonna cover 12 column space. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it. This will be column LG12. Type will be text. Enter subject, and I'm gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna put a text area. And the row will be 5 row, and I'm gonna give form control class. Placeholder is going to be enter message. Save it and refresh. Okay, and I'm gonna put a button. Button brand, and the text will be okay, and I want the button to cover whole space, so I'm gonna type display grid. Okay, so I'm gonna create a comment for the contact us. I'm gonna type contact position relative. I'm gonna give z index 2, and I'm gonna type contact. After, I'm gonna set the content to nothing. I'm gonna give a width 100%, height let's say 70%, and I'm gonna get this from the counter, and I'm gonna paste it right here, and I'm gonna give a position absolute from the top 0 and from the left 0. Save it and then refresh, and I'm gonna give a z index -1, and I'm gonna remove this bg dark. I'm gonna select this form. I'm gonna give padding. On LG5, below LG will be 4. And I'm gonna give a BG white, and I'm gonna give a theme shadow class. Alright. I'm gonna select contact. I'm gonna select the form control class. I'm gonna remove the border radius 0. Form control on focus. I'm gonna remove the box shadow, and I'm gonna change the border color to brand color. Save it and refresh. Okay, great. Okay, so we have a block section. So I'm gonna copy this intro row from the team section. And I'm gonna add a class section. Okay, and the text will be save it and refresh. Okay, and I'm gonna give this class BG light. Okay. I'm gonna create another row. Inside this row, I'm gonna create blog post, image zoom, image zoom wrapper, and here I'm gonna put the image. Blog post 1, I'm gonna put H5, and I'm gonna put some lorem text. Image zoom wrapper. So I'm gonna copy from the team. Here it is. Okay, and this will be, I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna put H5, and this will be web design 2022, and I'm gonna put an anchor tag, save it and refresh, and I'm gonna change the image to this will be blog post. Okay, so here is the problem. This should be wrapper, so I mistyped the wrapper. So I'm gonna select this, I'm gonna type wrapper, and I'm gonna select this, Control D. Okay, and I'm gonna rename this to wrapper, save it and refresh. So as you can see, we have that effect. And I'm gonna select H5. I'm gonna give a margin of 3 rem, 4 rem. Okay, looking great. So I'm going to copy this blog section, sorry, the blog column. This will be blog post 2, 3, save it and refresh. So as you can see, okay, so after this we have the footer. So I'm going to create a comment. This will be footer. Okay, and inside this footer I'm gonna create footer top class. I'm gonna type column LG3 and column SM6. So let's wrap this inside a row and let's give a gutter spacing of 5 rem. Okay, so I'm gonna put an anchor tag. This will be an image. Below go dark, so I'm gonna give BG dark color. Okay, and I'm gonna put line. I'm gonna put some text. Okay, save it. All right, so then I'm gonna put social links. Okay, so I'm gonna search for Twitter. So I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna duplicate this. Save it and I'm gonna refresh the page. Okay. So I'm gonna duplicate this and I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna put H5. This will be services and I'm gonna put unordered list. Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate this. This will be UX design, branding, and this will be, let's say, logo designing. Save it and refresh. So I'm gonna duplicate this. This will be about. Text will be blog services and okay, and the last one will be contact. Okay, so I'm going to create another footer. This will be footer bottom. Specify content between column auto, and I'm going to remove margin bottom to 0. So I'm going to copy this text. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to copy. So I'm not going to copy that. I'm going to type that design by okay, save it, and I'm going to refresh the page. So this will be, so I'm going to give a gutter space before designing that. For him, this will be logo white. Save it and refresh. Okay, so I'm going to select this H5, and I'm going to remove margin bottom 0. Okay, and I'm going to give a text white. All right, so I'm going to design the footer. I'm going to select the footer, and I'm going to select the list items, footer paragraph, footer anchor tag. I'm going to give a color white 0.7. Okay, and then I'm going to select footer unordered list, remove that bullet point and give a padding 0. Okay, and then I'm going to select footer line. I'm going to give a width 40 pixel, height 4 pixel, and I'm going to give a background color brand color. Okay, so I'm going to give a margin top 12 pixel, margin bottom 12 pixel, margin bottom will be, let's say, 24. All right, 24 is looking fine. Then I'm gonna select okay, so I'm gonna select the footer. I'm gonna give a padding top, let's say 100 pixel. Then I'm gonna select footer top, padding bottom, let's say 40 pixel, and I'm gonna give a border bottom. Okay, and let me give it 0.1. Footer bottom, I'm gonna give a padding top 40 pixel, padding bottom 40 pixel. All right, so let me give it a 120 pixel. So looking great. So I'm gonna design this icon. So let's see. I'm gonna give a class social. I'm gonna select anchor tag. I'm gonna give a width 40 pixel, height 40 pixel, display inline block, inline flex, align item center, justify content center. So let me give a background color white and border radius 100 pixel, and I'm gonna change the color, background color to white. Save it. Awesome. Okay, so let's fix the home link. This will go to the hero section. Save it and refresh. So this should be active when I am in the about us or services. So I'm gonna go to the Git Bootstrap website. And also I'm gonna visit to the animate on scroll. I'm gonna click on the docs and I'm gonna search for Scrollspy. Click on the data attribute. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it here, and I'm gonna target the navigation bar class. Save it and let's see. It is working now, as you can see. Okay, so go to the animate on scroll and I'm gonna scroll down. I'm gonna copy this link. I'm gonna paste it and I'm gonna scroll down. I'm gonna copy this. Okay, and I'm gonna scroll down. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna visit to the main.js file. I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna remove this. So I'm gonna reduce the duration to, let's say, 900. Okay. So I'm gonna copy this fade up. I'm gonna go to the hero section. Okay, and I'm gonna paste it right here. And let's see. All right. So I'm gonna change this to fade right, and I'm gonna paste it right here. This will be fade left, as you can see. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it right here. This will be fade down, and I'm gonna give a data AOS delay. Let me give it a delay 50. I'm gonna copy this. Okay, and also I'm gonna paste it right here. Oops. All right, so this will be fade down. I'm gonna copy and I'm gonna paste it right here, and I'm gonna give a delay 150. Awesome. So I'm gonna do this for the services. I'm gonna select these, Control D, and I'm gonna paste it, and I'm gonna set the delay to 3, 4, 5 and 6. And I'm gonna do this for the counter as well. This will be 2, 3 and 4. Save it and let's see. And I'm gonna do this for the portfolio. This will be 3 and this will be 1. Save it and refresh. Okay, I'm gonna do this for the testimonials. All right, so let's see. So the animation is working, looking great. Okay guys, so far if you have enjoyed the video, so make sure to like the video, and yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.